Good morning, beautiful people. Can we clap our hands for Jesus in the room? And before you take your seat, can you help me honor our incredible pastors, Pastor Shamari, co-pastor Jackie White? Amen. All right, you may be seated. You may be seated. I'm excited to be here with you guys on this morning. I'm excited to teach. But before I get started, I want to celebrate the staff of Have Life Church. You can put your hands together for them. We have an incredible staff, and I win when they win, so I like to celebrate them as often as I can. And of course, I want to celebrate the four most important people in my life, my babies, Genesis, Charlie, Jaya, and my beautiful wife, Casey Tucker. And all of the leaders, aspiring leaders in the room. Are you ready to go to work? All right, I'm ready. Today we're going to talk about, my portion is ReEngaging volunteers. ReEngaging the post-pandemic volunteer. And we're going to come from the title, we're going to tag our talk, Help Needed. Help Needed. All right. According to the Motion Picture Association of America, in the U.S. alone, the total number of jobs supported by the TV and film industry were at 2.1 million, and it's steadily increasing. Those jobs include manufacturing televisions, distributing motion pictures and televisions, producing shows and movies, broadcasting those shows and movies, and marketing those shows and movies. Another interesting statistic is that 96% of homes in the U.S. have at least one television set in them. So, what's the purpose of a television? A television accommodates the taste of entertainment for the viewer, right? A television show and the television set itself was created to appease the entertainment of the person who purchased it. You watch what you are interested in. The plethora of options, the variety of channels, the endless possibility of networks that are available to you do not matter if you don't care about them, if you're not interested in them, all right? So there's 2.1 million jobs to create the shows you like. There's 2.1 million jobs to run the channels you prefer. So in other words, over 2.1 million jobs were created to reach you. When you're watching television, we're going somewhere. When you're watching television, you don't think about the warehouses full of workers who are putting the television together. You don't think about the writers who spend countless hours on getting one line right, weeks on getting one scene straight, or months or even a year to create one script. You don't think about the insane process of post-production, the cutting, the clipping, and the editing. You don't think about the broadcasting sites that sit down and plan for hours to determine what show goes where and what game would attract viewership. All you see is the final product. Now, if you thought I was still talking about the television, you're already behind. As it relates to the church, we have a lot of final product viewers, but it's time to re-engage the supportive positions that create the final product. At the click of a button at 9:40 a.m., you see a spinning logo on Sunday morning that assures you that church is on. At 10 a.m., you see a pre-show that lets you know what's coming. By 10:03, you see Pastor Gerald and the praise team leading us in praise and worship, and it blesses our life every week. By 10:20, you soak in a word from Pastor Show that transformed your mindset. But how many consider the process it takes to get to 9:40 a.m.? The final product is amazing, but the full process is arduous. I love it. All right, but I don't want you to think that I'm just pulling this out of thin air. Let's look at the text. Exodus 17, verses 11 through 12. Exodus 17, verses 11 through 12. So it came about, thank you, Michelle. So it came about, what was that, Jonte? Thank you, Jonte. So it came about when Moses held his hands up that Israel prevailed. But when he let his hands down, Amalek prevailed. Verse 12. and Moses' hands were heavy. So they took a stone and put it under him, and he sat on it. And Aaron and Hur supported his hands, one on one side, one on the other. So his hands were steady until the sunset. In our text, Exodus chapter 17, we're at the battle between the Israelites who've been freed from bondage in Egypt and the Amalekites. We see the battle, and the solution seems simple, right? Moses, all you have to do is keep your hands lifted, and we will win. If Pastor keeps his hands lifted, all of us win. That's the final product. But most of us still don't see the full process. Why are Moses' arms weak? Naturally, if you hold your arms up for an extended period of time, they'll get weak. But we're talking about the full process. We're talking about surveying all of the factors. So prior to this unprovoked battle, Moses brought Israel through three major issues. In Exodus 15, the people are complaining because they're thirsty. They've traveled for 3 days with no water, and they finally approached water, and it's bitter, so they can't drink it. The people complain to Moses, and Moses goes to the Lord for the people. The Lord drops a tree into the water and makes the water sweet. In Exodus 16, the people are complaining because they're hungry. The people complain to Moses, and Moses goes to the Lord for the people. The Lord sends meat by evening and manna by morning to feed the people. In Exodus 17, the people are complaining because they're thirsty again. The people complain to Moses, and Moses goes to the Lord for the people. The Lord gives them water from a rock. By the end of Exodus 17, the Israelites are at war with the Amalekites. Moses' arms aren't heavy because he's carrying the weight of the battle. His arms are heavy because he's carrying the weight of the battle, the weight of the people, the weight of every decision, the weight of every problem they face, the weight of their complaints, the weight of his assignment, and the weight of their future. If you didn't notice, there's a common theme in the three major issues, and here it is: complaints create weight. Whew, that was good. Complaints create weight. Listen to me. Some situations only lend themselves to you either taking a big loss or a small loss. But either way, you're taking an L. Some people would disagree that we chose to open August 1st. Some people disagree, or they would disagree if we chose not to open August 1st. Some people don't want to wear a mask. Some people want everybody to wear a mask. Either way, somebody's not going to be happy. The leader already has to bear the burden of the L, but then we force them to carry the complaints of the congregation on top of it. Woo! Woo! I'm going to say that again. The leader already has to bear the burden of the L, but then we force them to carry the complaints of the congregation on top of it. All right, in chapter 15, the people are thirsty. Through Moses, God fixed that. In chapter 16, they're hungry. Through Moses, God fixed that. At the beginning of 17, they're thirsty again. Through Moses, God fixed that. By the end of 17, they're at war. That's why we need chapter 18. John Tay, Exodus 18, 17 through 18. Moses' father-in-law replied, "What you are doing is not good. You and these people who come to you will only wear yourselves out. The work is too heavy for you. You cannot handle it alone." Moses' father-in-law, Jethro, says, "Appoint leaders because you need help." Do you see this morning the constant need of having people who pastor and Kopi can depend on? Do you see the constant weight of decision making? Do you see the continuous pressure of getting it right week after week? To keep their arms lifted, we need help. Somebody say help needed. All right. But here's the dilemma. That's the text. Here's the dilemma. What was an easy task, Pastor Gerald, in bringing people together for a joint cause has become much more challenging. Catch this. The pandemic has shifted the perspective and priorities of the parishioner. Woo. Okay, I'm going to say it again. The pandemic has shifted the perspective and priorities of the parishioner. Simply put, most volunteers have found something in this pandemic that to them proves to be more important than the vision of the church, the cause of the church, and the goals of the church. Volunteers are discovering their own purpose, and they're striving for their own fulfillment. They're coming into the realization of how much time they've missed and how much time they feel as though they've wasted. They're grasping the newfound knowledge that busyness does not always equate to productivity. And because Have Life has found a way to flourish without them, volunteers feel as though, although their presence is wanted and appreciated, it isn't needed to keep the church going. Okay, hear me out. Although there's some truth to that, because even in a pandemic, God won't allow his church to die. I'll say that again. Even in a pandemic, God won't allow his church to die. The notion that this can be done without help is absurd. The weight of ministry, hear me, is far too heavy for one couple to carry. Jesus had 12 disciples. God has the Son, the Holy Spirit, a host of angels and believers walking on the earth. What makes you think Pastor and Kopi can hold this up all on their own? Help is needed. All right. In order to get help, we have to re-engage the post-pandemic volunteer. We've got to re-engage the post-pandemic parishioner. We find ourselves, and here's the meat of the lesson today, we find ourselves in the midst of 5 types of volunteers in this post-pandemic age. There is the whenever you need me volunteer, the whenever I'm available volunteer, the whenever no one else is available volunteer, the whenever I need you volunteer, and the whenever volunteer. Woo! All right. All right. All right. If I'm teaching good, say you're doing good, boy. All right. All right. The whenever you need me volunteer, the whenever I'm available volunteer, the whenever no one else is available volunteer, the whenever I need you volunteer, and the never volunteer. All right, before we dig deeper into these types, let's clear something up. We are not going to transform the whenever volunteer into a whenever you need me volunteer by August. And to be honest, it may never happen. Okay. Sometimes we create our own disappointments by creating unattainable and unsustainable goals. We're not going to try to move you from the ground floor to the penthouse. Let's just move you up a step. All right? So this is a room full of leaders and aspiring leaders. Can we have a mature conversation? Okay. All right. Thank you for that. All right. The whenever you need me volunteer. Let's go to work. It's self-explanatory, right? They can be counted on and depended on. They understand the purpose of the church, and they are willing to do whatever it takes to push the vision forward. Let's re-engage them by training them for leadership or adding to their responsibility. All right? Let's take them a step up by training them for leadership or adding to their responsibility. Who in your ministry or department has been consistent for a year and a half? They're in every meeting. They've joined every activity we've offered. They've been online every Sunday. Let's comb through our ministries to find people we can count on. Now, you can't gauge who on your team is a whenever you need me volunteer if you haven't been a whenever you need me leader. Woo! All right. Can we talk for real this morning? All right. How can you check their attendance when you're never present? How do you know their heart when you never check in? Where have you been, leaders? Have you helped carry the weight or have you created the weight? Are you present for Sunday streams? Do you participate in groups on Wednesday night? Are you praying with us after service on the virtual altar call? Do you pick up communion the first Saturday of every month? Are you participating in the activities we offer? So let's pause for a second, because maybe we shouldn't re-engage the volunteers until we re-engage those in leadership. Have you checked in? Have you held meetings? Have you required or recommended that they click on the stream on Sundays? Maybe the volunteers have disengaged because the leadership is disengaged. Have you been helping us carry, or have you been carried for a year and a half? Woo! It's tight, but it's right. Pastor and Co-P have to be able to depend on those who have been appointed and selected as leaders. Because if no one else shows up, you got to be here. All right, back. I'm going to get off your toes. Back to whenever you need me, volunteer. Let me step back. All right, I'm sorry. All right, we're going to dig a little bit. Don't let me hurt your feelings this morning. Can you handle it? All right, now, let's be real. Sometimes the whenever you need me volunteer gets under your skin because they're just too available. They never have anything else to do. They don't wait for the announced events. They reach out every other day to see what's coming down the pipeline. That's what we want, but I understand your frustration. Pastor Justin, just because they're always there, it does not mean they're qualified for leadership. You are 100% correct. That's why I never said give them a leadership role, rewind the tape. I said train them for leadership or add to their responsibility. You can train them for leadership without giving them a leadership role. Okay. Here's the conversation. You are here every week. And sometimes you beat me here. I'm amazed at your consistency. Listen, I want to give you more responsibility. I want to pull you in closer. So can you put out the cones every week? You are the new cone putter outer for the team. I'm going to put a message in group me right now. Right now. If the cones aren't in place, people will start driving everywhere. I need somebody I can depend on to make sure the cones are in place at the right position at the right time. I trust you. I believe in you. Added responsibility. Training them for leadership. ReEngaged. All right. You have to figure out how that works for your ministry. Okay. All right. Number 2, the whenever I'm available volunteer. This person is extremely helpful, but not always dependable. For them, it's not that church isn't a priority. It's the fact that they have multiple priorities. We totally understand. Everybody has stuff to do. The whenever I'm available volunteer is more than willing to serve, but they need ample time to adjust their schedule. Now, we're digging deep, so let's clear something up. Some people pretend to be busy and know that they aren't busy. Other people aren't pretending. They really believe that they're busy, but they're not busy. Some people are so busy all the time because they're really unorganized and unprepared. There are some who are busy being productive, and there are others who are busy procrastinating. You're busy because you waited to the last minute to get it done. That's not the busy we're talking about this morning. We're talking about the productively busy volunteer. Their excuse is legit. Productively busy volunteers are usually list people. If you're having a meeting, they need their takeaway. What do you want me to do? All right, forget all that. What am I supposed to do? All right? Don't have a meeting just to have a meeting, because they probably had to move a meeting to come to your meeting. We lose them when we waste their time. All right. Bill Hybels in Volunteer Revolution uses this scenario. Pastor Show teaches about serving, effectively communicates needs, and extends a personal invitation to serve. People sign up to serve. On his or her day to volunteer, the volunteer leaves work early, gets a babysitter, drives 40 minutes to the church, shows up ready to serve, and then discovers that they're not needed. Volunteer Revolution says the easiest way to defeat a volunteer is to waste their time. Here's how we re-engage the whenever I'm available volunteer because they're busy. Assign responsibility that adheres to their availability while challenging them to increase their activity. All right. Assign responsibility that adheres to their availability while challenging them to increase their activity. All right. I'm going to break it down. I'm going to give it to you. I know that was a bit much. I'm going to give it to you. All right. You don't have to require them to be here to increase their activity. They can sometimes prove to be more beneficial at background work. If they're that busy and that organized, it usually means they have an administrative gift. So what's some responsibility that increases their activity but also adheres to their availability? Can they be responsible for scheduling? Can they be responsible for inventory? Can they be responsible for ordering supplies? They might not be available when the rest of us are available, but it doesn't mean that they're unavailable. We just have to get them active when they're available. Whew. All right. We're in it. We're in it. All right. Number three. The whenever no one else is available, volunteer. Whenever no one else is available, volunteer. This person does not want to serve unless they have to. Oftentimes, this person is the best. They're who you want. They're just not who you can have. When they show up, you don't have to worry about anything. They got it. These individuals are usually great at what they do, but their heart is no longer in it, usually because they have tenure. All right. They love Pastor Show. They love co-pastor Jackie. They love Have Life Church. They love you. They just don't like serving in that capacity anymore. Here's how we re-engage the whenever no one else is available volunteer. Assign them to recruit and train others to work themselves out of it. We won't need you if you create more of you. Woo. But here's the possible problem with the whenever no one else is available volunteer. They don't want to be needed until they're no longer needed. Okay. If your heart is no longer in it, that's fine. But don't get mad when I use someone else. All right, look at Saul in 1 Samuel. It was okay for him to reject God's instructions. It wasn't that bad when God rejected him as king, but it was unacceptable when God chose somebody else. Woo! As long as you get to tell me no, everything is fine. But when I stop asking, it's church hurt. It's unfair. This is one of those lose-lose situations we talked about earlier. You lose if they don't show up, but you also lose when you stop asking. Whew, you can't win. Time and time again, their answer is no, I can't be there. No, I can't do that. No, that's too early. No, that's too late. But when I don't ask, he ain't even asked me. I ain't even get a text. He removed me from the group me. You can't have this both ways. If your heart is no longer in it, create more of you so I don't have to overuse you. But don't get mad when I no longer choose you. Woo. All right. We re-engage them by assigning them to train and recruit. You don't have to serve during service. You don't have to hug during service. You don't have to put the name tags on the kids during service. You don't have to focus the camera during service. You don't have to stand in the parking lot during service. You can sit and enjoy Pastor Gerald and the praise team. You can write your notes during Pastor Show's sermon. I don't need you during service, but I do need you to build our team after service. I do need you to show them how we serve throughout the week. You've been serving for a long time. You've been running for Jesus a long time, but don't get tired yet. The incentive is you don't have to serve, but I do need you to train. All right? All right? We won't need you if you create more of you. All right. Number 4, the whenever I need you volunteer. Let's talk about it. This person, thank you, John Tate. This person wants something out of their service. In a sense, we all do. Ralph Waldo Emerson says, it is one of the most beautiful compensations of this life that no man can sincerely try to help one another without helping himself. There's a book entitled Volunteer Revolution. We mentioned it earlier, and it deals with the volunteer exchange. When you serve, there is an exchange. There's the healing of relationships. There's the opportunity to give back. There's the chance to see God work in others the way he worked in you. And there's a new perspective on your life. We all want something out of our service. We all want God to come through. We all want God to show up. We all need him to step in. We all want something. Even if all you want is for God to get the glory. Even if all you want is to make life easier for Pastor and Co-P. We all want something out of our service. But with this volunteer, they want to be close or they want to be seen. They have an agenda. They serve their best when Pastor is looking. When nobody is around, they're avoiding hugs. But when Co-P walks around the corner, they're hugging, praying for people, and kissing babies. They're doing it all. They got their own line when Co-P walk around the corner. They want something, recognition, validation. They want to be close, something. Their heart isn't right yet, but we're still going to use them because we need help. So I guess my heart isn't right either. All right. I'll admit it. I still need them. All right. Here's where we need to be careful with all of these volunteers, but especially this one in particular. This one puts it in perspective. We can't integrally condemn or rebuke the whenever I need you volunteer if that's all we've been to them. It's not right to frown upon a volunteer that only comes when they need us if we only reach out when we need them. That's why we have heart checks. Pastor and Co-P can't call every servant. We have to hold their arms up and check on those that serve with us. I don't need anything. I just want to check on you. How are you doing? How's your family? That's something we have to step back into if we've stepped away from it. Re-engagement encompasses honor, love, and commitment. We can't enforce commitment without exhibiting honor and love. Okay? All right. The way we re-engage the whenever I need you volunteer is to assign important responsibility that's far away from their target. Assign important responsibility that's far away from their target. If the pulpit is their target, put them in the parking lot. Assign responsibility. We still need them. My heart ain't right. I'm going to still use them. But we're going to assign responsibility. It's far away from their target. All right? Let's work on their heart in the parking lot. All right? Number 5. I got to get ready to get up out of here. Number 5. The whenever volunteer. Woo! This one here. My God. This person has checked out completely, but it doesn't necessarily mean they're gone. All right? If they're gone, they're gone. All right? We're not going to chase what's gone. All right? We're not going to focus on what left. We're going to focus on what's left. All right? I'm going to say that again. We're not going to focus on what left. We're going to focus on what's left. All right? If they're gone. But if they're just gone and every now and then you see Justin Tucker is watching on the Sunday stream, then there's still a chance. And as a church, we have to try. Okay? Here's how we try. We start with love, and that's it. All right? For a while, our love may be all they can handle. Let's love them until we can lead them. Dr. Conway Edwards, in his book, 2080 Rule, said volunteers don't just show up because you made an announcement. They are drawn to a team or organization because of relationships. Therefore, first comes love. Win the heart before you ask for the hand. Can't take credit for that one. That was Conway Edwards. Conway Edwards. He's much smarter than me. Win the heart before you ask for the hand, all right? And then if and when the time comes, assign tasks that are easily covered if the ball is dropped. Okay? Once you love them back to the place where you can lead them, all right? You assign tasks that are easily covered if the ball is dropped. When you're re-engaging someone who has checked out, you want to show trust in them while also covering your bases, all right? They don't need to know that you have a plan C, D, E, F, G, but you better have a plan C, D, E, F, G. Got to be prepared, all right? Cover them and cover your bases at the same time. All right, this is it. Why should I help? All right, it's simple. The longer their arms remain lifted, the longer you win in your life. All right? This goes back to all of us being a whenever I need you volunteer. I'm helping them because it's helping my future. It's helping my marriage. It's helping my children. It's helping my dreams. It's helping my health, my finances, my decisions, my heart, my mind, my relationship with God. Their arms won't go down on my watch because I can't afford for my marriage to go down. I can't afford for my children to go down. I can't afford for my future to go down. I can't afford for my life to go down. If we keep their arms lifted, I promise you, we'll win. Can you put your hands together? I love you. Thank you.